Okay, so right now, just real quick, I made 3 different parts. The planet gears have a diameter of 2 inches. The main sun gear has a diameter of 10 inches. So gear ratio 10/2 is 5. And then the ring is going to fit around the outside of them. So radius of 5 plus 2 equals 7, or diameter of 14 on the inside of this. And I made everything an inch tall. I'm temporarily constraining them in place. It's going to be tricky to get these guys moving correctly, but I'll at least get them all in the right place to start with. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is create the spur gears, and these are actually going to use the cylindrical parts that I've already created. So I'm going to select module and number of teeth. This will let me change the gear ratio. So I'm going to do the sun and the planets first and the ring last. So 10/2, gear ratio of 5, and then center to center distance. So radius of the inner gear was 5 plus 1 for the outer gear. So I've got a 6-inch center to center distance. And I'm not going to create both of these together. I'm going to say no model for gear 2. And you can see which is the small gear and which is the large gear by the number of teeth over here. So I'm going to start with the small gear. And what we're going to do to create it is actually click on, in this case, the small cylinder. So this is a smaller number of faces. I'm going to click on the cylindrical face, click on the starting plane. It looks like that is popping out instead of in. I'm just creating this one, and I'll say okay, okay. And it's going to create, so now I have spur gear 1 as well as the original small gear. So they're kind of right here on top of one another, but you'll see that spur gear, it's been created the same size as a small gear. Okay, doing that again for the next one, and once you have all of this set up, it'll bring up the same numbers that it had before. So this time I'm going to change it to no model on the small gear and component on the large gear. And we'll just see if we can get this sun gear to match up. So again, cylindrical face, and I'm going on the outside of that cylinder. And then the starting plane, pop it down so it's the right direction. We'll say okay. And we've got kind of a little slant on these guys. So if I zoom in, the teeth ratio and the teeth size and everything, it's done this. So these guys are going to fit into one another very nicely. Okay, I've got 3 more small gears to go. And we'll do those just the same as the first gear. So again, I'm going to say no model on the large one, component on the small one. And we're just going to go from gear to gear. Click on the face. Here's the cylindrical face. Here's the starting plane. It gives you a preview. So there's the next one. And just keep working your way around this thing. So cylindrical face. Start plane. Okay. Probably should save this every now. Okay. So now we have all of these guys. If you want to get these rotating okay, and I don't have these constrained to stay in place, really I should have nothing but rotational motion on all of them, but to start, yeah, maybe I'll wait on the constraints for this one. Let's just get these guys built. Okay, that was the inner gear. For this next one, we're going to have to do a little bit of calculation. So the calculation, the equation that I found over here was the number of teeth in the ring gear is equal to 2 times what's on the planetary gear plus what's on the sun gear. So if you remember what we had when we started it out, this was 18 teeth on the small planet gear, 92 on the sun. So 2 times 18 plus 92 is 128. So we need to create an outside ring gear with 128 teeth that is going to mesh together with those other guys. Okay. This is, and this is a little bit tricky to get right. So I changed it to purely just the number of teeth. And the center distance for internal, making that outside ring gear, it's actually going to be the distance between the center of the ring gear, which is the center of the whole system, and the center of the planetary gear. So we're back to 6-inch difference between the two. And what I'm going for these number of teeth is I want to get that 2 times 18 plus, I want to get 128 teeth on here. And it's a little bit different gear ratio. So the ring gear to the planet versus the planet to the sun, those are different ratios. And this one ends up being to get the right number of teeth, and it's easier to, so I'm not going to say, okay, I'm going to say calculate, and it's going to calculate the number of teeth. So 7.1 ends up being the gear ratio for the outer to the inner. And just, you're looking for that number of teeth, because if you're using some different dimensions than me, then that'll be, but okay. For this one, I'm going to say no model, because I'm making this outside large gear. So then again, I'm going to do the cylindrical face. I'm going to do the outside, make sure that's going the right direction. Okay. Let it make that ring gear. And now what we have is teeth lining up on the inside and lining up on the outside. So yay!